QBM001 is a drug for a rare pediatric disorder that affects very young children from age 9 months to 2 years of age. These kids are going through their normal development life cycle where they're developing the most active synaptic connections in their brain that's giving all of us humans as we develop the ability to learn to speak and to communicate with our outside world. Unfortunately, these kids on the autistic spectrum already are suffering from a neurological defect that's causing them to withdraw further into themselves by essentially having a migraine-like effect on a neurological basis. Just like you and I, if we had a migraine, we'd want to go into a cold, dark room and just cut out any exposure to the outside world and any noises and any lights. These kids are essentially doing that because they're having these migraine type of events. And they're very young, they're 9 months old to a year and a half old. They can't really communicate that to us. So what this drug is designed to do is to identify very specifically this very small patient population that has this genetic specific code that we think will alleviate those migraines, allow them to come out of their shells a little bit more, and hopefully develop those active language skills that they have in their brain as they develop. It's pretty typical for all human beings to have a use it or lose it type of synaptic connection. So if we grow our brains, by the time we're 2 years old, we have the most active brain. But depending on the skills that we acquire when we're that age, we either use those skills or we lose them. And if you don't develop the active language ability to be able to communicate with your outside world, at age 2, you start to lose those synaptic connections, and sadly, these children never learn to speak at all. So they're mute for the rest of their lives. They have obviously learning disabilities, and they need to live in assisted living or have assisted living care throughout their entire lives, which is a huge cost burden on the healthcare system and a massive emotional burden on their parents and their peers and their families. This is a rare pediatric disease, so it really only affects about 20,000 children in the US every year, about 50,000 around the world. But these are 50,000 children that are desperate for a solution, and their families are desperate for a solution for this disorder. So we're really excited about bringing this potential drug to the market early next year. From an economic standpoint, the opportunity for us is very, very significant. 50,000 children around the world with a rare pediatric disease represents a multi-billion-dollar market for Q BioMed. And given that the drug itself, the active molecule, is actually very well known to the regulators, it's a drug that's been used for many, many years in other disorders, we believe that this drug will qualify for what's called a 505(b)(2) clinical pathway. So this could get through the clinic in a very short period of time, potentially less than 2 years. So that's a huge opportunity for us and for our shareholders to capitalize on as we move that into the clinic in the early part of next year, to be able to have a multi-billion-dollar drug in an accelerated clinical program as early as next year could be a really significant milestone for us.